all the Hollywood being as left as it is, attacking the Vietnam veterans. And just about every film after John Wayne's Green Beret, I mean, they attacked John Wayne in 1970, 69-70, and they actually thought they could destroy John Wayne, but what they destroyed was the Western. And Jane Fonda and Donna Sutherland, and a lot of them were very, very instrumental in going after him because of Green Beret, because it was, everybody remembers that was a great film on Vietnam and everything, great action war movie. And in those days, that movie came out and made over $30 million, which in 1969 was an incredible feat for a film like that. And so no matter how much they attacked it, it kept making more money. I'm a very good friend of Christopher Mitchum, and Chris, he was blackballed in those days because he worked for John Wayne. Nobody in those days knew what Christopher's politics was. He was conservative, and he was a young guy, and he was up and coming. He was one of those new actors coming up with Jan Michael Vincent and all those other guys. And because he worked for John Wayne, he couldn't get work anymore. So he went to Europe and started making films over there. But what happened was in the 1970s, 71, 70 and everything, they just went after the Vietnam vets, and that's when they came out with the movie Coming Home with John Voight and Fonda and all of them. And every film after that, they just attacked the Vietnam vets. And I've always said that the people that run Hollywood, they're so leftist, but yet these were the guys. I mean, Spielberg himself were out there protesting the war, and now they're basically in positions of huge power. And I think they have a vendetta for the Vietnam vet, because they don't attack the World War II guys this way. They tried to attack the Iraqi guys when the war in Iraq broke out. But they were, the public basically went after them, and so they didn't. That's when they went after Bush instead of the vets.
Let me. I volunteered for Vietnam in 1964.
Right.
And I didn't go. I ended up almost dying from spinal meningitis. I didn't have to go. I didn't go over there, and after I was released on a medical discharge, I found myself really conflicted here, because I didn't believe that, I know from my research that the Gulf of Tonkin never happened. I know that LBJ was, the first thing he did when he was made president was recall all the money that Kennedy issued against the Federal Reserve. So to me, he was the traitor.
Right.
And from the outside looking at this, I mean, I volunteered. I wanted to defend the Constitution. I took an oath to defend the Constitution. There was no expiration date on that. But
I agree.
More of my brothers have died since they came home to the United States than were killed in Vietnam.
That's true. That's true.
And
again, the government is full of these people who, were basically at Woodstock and protesting the war. In their 20s, they were basically, getting stoned and raising hell and burning everything in their draft cars and stuff. But, by the time they were in their 30s, they all had to get a job and start, feeding themselves. And they worked their way up into the government. They worked their way up into Hollywood. And by the 70s, they were in control of everything. They had taken over. And so we basically were in that era where they're producing films that promote the progressive ideology, and there's this whole godless concept of this progressive liberalism that we find ourselves in right now. So it was all through the 70s. Growing up, I just saw them attack the Vietnam veterans. Even if it wasn't a Vietnam veteran movie, if the hero in the film happened to be a former Vietnam veteran, he was like divorced. He was an alcoholic. his daughter or his son didn't like him, So, they never showed him as a normal guy. And most Vietnam vets, the majority of them never had the problems that Hollywood tried to project. I mean, there were more people from World War II that had all these problems, which I called I tagged the Hollywood syndrome, than the Vietnam vets did. More Vietnam vets, I read somewhere that there was more divorce from the World War II guys than there were in Vietnam. There were more guys who were hospitalized because of what do they call that? The post-traumatic syndrome from World War II created in Vietnam. But they blew all the figures way out of proportion and to justify what they did to these guys on film. And they just kept attacking them. And after I seen Platoon, it was like, all right, that's it. So I came up with this concept to show the Vietnam veteran as a hero, basically. And what I did was I wanted to make a movie that, like a World War II film, the kind of films I saw growing up as a kid. So I took a concept from, if people out there remember the movie A Walk in the Sun with Dana Andrews and John Ireland, and there was a lot of young actors that became famous. Lloyd Bridges was in it, and then a concept of Objective Burma with Errol Flynn. And one of my favorite films in the '70s as a kid was Kelly's Heroes. So I didn't want to make a movie because every Vietnam film was so serious, and what I saw out there was they portrayed the Vietnam veterans as rapists, drug addicts, baby killers, and that was basically the subplot of all these movies. And I wanted to show these guys as heroes and show them. So I stayed away from that politics. So when the Vietnam veterans would see these movies, their only reaction would be, well, the military and the action of the film is not what happened over there. So they became very highly critical of Vietnam films because nothing positive was coming out of it, And like I said, there was a whole agenda basically to show this war as an evil war, even and stopping communism is evil, And
now let me. I said, I took an oath. And
right.
I actually read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I
right.
also read the Communist Manifesto after I got out of the Army. And I was kind of shocked to realize that every plank on the Communist Manifesto is intact in America today. Who are we defending this country from? Who won the Cold War? I mean, it's... And I also said, and I want your opinion on this, that the reason they sprayed us with Agent Orange in Vietnam is they didn't want well-trained, combat-hardened veterans coming back to this country seeing what a communist mess our government has become.
Right,
what do you think?
Yeah, I know. Again, I mean, there's a lot of fellow travelers, they were packed into this country in the State Department during FDR's term. I mean, the people of the United States have to do their civic duty and just, we have to continue to vote for people who are constitutionalists so we can, have a Congress that is constitutionalist and conservative and people who fear God and basically throw these people out of office. And this is what's happened. They've entrenched themselves in the media. I mean, they've taken over the narrative. And so the public, is primarily, like Charlton Heston said, I mean, years ago, he said, we have a conservative country with a liberal culture. So we have to basically take back the culture. And Hollywood would not allow a guy like me or anybody who's conservative to get their foot in the door, because if we ever got our foot in the door, we'd take over those whole towns. And they know it, because, I mean, and Mel Gibson is proof of that. I mean, Mel made The Passion. And that movie went out and did about $600-700 million. I mean, no actor in the history of Hollywood has ever produced a film that he funded out of his own money, and then he funded the distribution and kept every dime. And this is why they hate his guts. It wasn't because he got drunk and he made that comment about the Jewish people. This was basically, to me, this was a setup to get him, to teach him a lesson, because he made, I mean, because Mel was about, when he made The Passion, he was probably worth about $400 million from 20 years of working in this town as an actor, as a major actor. And the liberals loved him they loved him, Mel, because he was their basically their token conservative who they accepted at their parties. Now Mel worked for Jewish people all over this place. I mean, Hollywood has a lot of Jewish people in this town, and Mel, the producers, writers, directors, he hires them all. He works with them all, you know. So to come out and say that he's anti-Semitic after 20 years of hanging out with these people is nonsense. I mean, because if it would have came out years ago, he was anti-Semitic.
I get that. I get that so much, and this is one of the reasons I've got films ready to make. I've made 4 documentaries. I've got 3 books that are that are worthy of making films out of them.
Right.
But, Clay's anti-Semitic. Why? Because I talk about Israel. Why? Because I talk about dual citizens. Why? Because I talk about people in politics and neocons that want to start another war that when we've got 3 going now.
Right.
Now, I'm not, the problem is, first of all, it's not all Jewish people that are behind this. Some are involved. Some are criminals.
Right.
Just like some Christians are criminals, just like some Muslims are criminals.
Right. No, listen, I've met, I know a lot of Jewish people out here that they're like family members to me, and and I've negotiated against some of them. I don't, it's to me it's a game. I mean, their job, a lot of these people who run the business, I mean, I've negotiated distribution deals against Italians. I've negotiated against this one guy was basically a WASP, a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and he was setting me up to steal my negative. So, it has nothing to do with what you are. You're either an honest guy or you're a crook. That's basically what it is. And if you're not smart enough, on your feet in this town, I mean, they'll take your film away from you. I mean, I know a fellow who was an attorney who made a movie, and then they basically took this film and $4 million. And this attorney was Jewish, and a bunch of guys who, I think there was, in this company, I think 3 of them were Jewish and 1 wasn't. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's the game is in Hollywood, we want your film for free, and we're going to take every dime from you, and your job as a filmmaker is to say, okay, I'm here to take as much money from the company as I possibly can.
Well, let me ask you, I went all the way out to Santa Monica to meet with a attorney, film producer attorney, and I got out there, and he wanted me to write a script for him for HBO, and I did.
Right.
I did, and I sent it to him, and he said, okay, they want it, they like it, but you got to sign this contract. You got to sign this contract. He sent the contract over to me, and he wanted 10% as my attorney, 10% as my manager, 15% as my agent, and 40% of the production of the movie.
Right.
I said no, I won't do that, and I walked away. I still got it.
Right. Oh yeah, it's a game. We negotiated with one company. These were fellows from Orion Pictures. They were former executives from Orion Pictures. These are the same guys who put Platoon out. Negotiated for them for 6 months, and my partner and I, we ended up writing our own contract. I redlined their contract. They were furious of hearing him, an unknown director, demanding money, and because they said, well, we don't pay advances on film, and I said, well, I don't make movies for free, And they say, well, we're gonna guarantee you, 1,000 theater release and this. I said, that doesn't mean anything to me. You give me cash up front, and I said, you're gonna take the movie, and the movie's gonna go out and do $150 million. You're gonna steal every dime from me in the 150. Just give me the $3 million I want up front, and I'll walk away. And they just didn't want to do it. And we